With us on set is Kris Derrig, and she is with Action Machined Products, a family business that's been handed down for generations, and we welcome her to the show. Hello, my friend. How
Hi,
are you?
Donna. Good, and you? Thank you for having me.
Nice to have you here. We met through a mutual friend, and she told me that you were into manufacturing, and I was fascinated because as an artist, I understand all the design that goes into manufacturing things. And what your family makes is Goes-Intas.
Correct.
Because you told me what? What is a Goes-Inta?
A gazinta is something that goes into something else.
Ta-da!
Larger, yes. Yes.
I had so much fun at your factory. So what happens is you take steel, is it steel rods?
We do, we have steel, we do plastic, whatever it is that the customer needs, we can generally put through the machines.
Okay. So, and what is the general process? So you take material and it runs through the machine and then it routes
have,
it out?
We have turning machines, correct, and we use solid metals, and it turns through the machine, and we program the machines to make the whatever design, such as you're holding in your hand, and the machine, the tools, everything goes in, and out comes the end product. That one happens to have several different operations that needed, but
Yeah,
and also a plating process. You see, that's why it's red.
Okay, okay. And
Yep.
one of the things that I learned about by coming to your shop, which I found so fascinating, is that yes, certain things have different coating. Like red might be for gas. Was it gas?
Red
Was
could
red?
be for gas.
Okay.
Yep. Blue, water.
Okay.
In the medical industry, you have different colors for different sizes, and that depends on people's sizes, the size of their bones, and that's how the surgeons match up what they need to put into specific body parts.
It's highly technical.
It's
You
very
know,
technical.
we're being kind of jovial about it, but the truth of the matter is it's all precisioned.
It's all
right?
precision. Everything we do is either for the aerospace, medical, some implants, commercial, and it's high precision. It's got to be right. I mean, if it's wrong, we have a problem. Somebody's having a problem with something inside, or possibly a plane goes down.
Correct.
So it's a real, it's a tough industry.
When you were a little girl, you had told me about the story about how you wanted to go to the shop, but your dad didn't always welcome you there.
No, it
What was
wasn't-
that
it
about? What
wasn't- it
happened? What
wasn't-
was it like that back then?
It wasn't quite a clean environment, so to speak. It was really what I think people have in their heads as being the image of a manufacturing company, of a machine shop. And we were just that, and that was 35, 40 years ago. And we've since changed. Technology's changing. You have to keep up with it. So my father and grandfather had the vision of that what they were doing wasn't going to be that way forever. And they decided to change out the machines and become highly technical, CNC. And that's when, at that point, I was in college. And that's when I needed another job, and I went back in and started working in the family business to make some extra money. And it was definitely a different atmosphere. It was great. It was really cool to work next to my grandfather and my father. Side by side on the shop floor. I wasn't allowed in the office. I had to start on the machines, actually. So it was an interesting time. Not always one that I loved, but I did learn a lot. And that was really, at the time, that wasn't my ideal. I didn't think I would be owning the business 25 years later. But here I am, and I love it. And it's even since then, it's changed, and it changes on a daily basis.
Well, the accreditations that you have, I know that you've also brought that, to a different level for your entire company.
Yes, yes.
You've grown the company. So it wasn't like somebody just handed it to you and said, okay, Kris, here you go. Here's the company. Like any family business, if you're going to be have longevity and you're going to grow with the times, you do have to kind of raise the bar. So the accreditations that you have for different parts, how do you go about that? I guess a lot of paperwork gets involved, and
yeah, it's a process to work in the aerospace industry and get new customers. Even the current customers, we have to have AS 9100, which is an aerospace accredited registration. And it's all procedural. Same with the medical. You need ISO 13485. And this is all based on their standards, and we have to rise to those standards to be able to get the work. And we're audited every year. An outside vendor comes in to audit us, make sure we're following procedure. And it is a lot of paperwork. It seems to be more and more every day. But that's what you have to do now.
And you
It's a
dot
very
your I's,
competitive,
right?
yeah, it's a
Cross
very
your T's.
competitive world out there these days. And it has to be. I mean, lives are at stake in the aerospace industry, the medical. You know, unfortunately, I don't always know where the parts that we make are going. So I always have to assume that they're going into a place that is, could be detrimental, could be
Or
life or death.
altering. Right, exactly.
Could be life or death. And
And-
that's how we have to consider everything.
And I do see that. I see that respect across the board with everybody that works there. You know, how people are putting it together. And then this is another quality control check that you have. And then another quality control check that you have. It's pretty fascinating. It's wonderful that what you do. You're also a very giving person. I know that education is so important to you. And you sit on a lot of boards. You're helping a lot of colleges. And you're helping with job placement. Can you tell us about that mentoring component
Yeah.
of your life that you have going on?
We're the manufacturing industry, because it's so technical now, and to stay competitive, it changes so quickly, and it's very hard to find people to work. So I kept complaining about it, that we can never find anybody, and so I finally decided to do something about it. I said, if I can't find anybody, we're going to have to go out and make them, and educate people that manufacturing exists, that we're alive and well on Long Island in the United States of America. We exist, and there's an abundance of jobs out there that we need to have filled.
Okay.
So I started working with some local programs. One is with 3 local high schools, actually, and New York State, and we're trying to educate these students at the beginning of their high school education up through college. They get to go to Farmingdale for 2 years, and they'll be interning with us when they're able to. Actually, the first group, I believe, is ready to come and see us next year. So I'm really excited because I've been seeing them since they've been freshmen and trying to educate them. They've come through the shop. We love giving tours. I figure, if anything, if I can get the educators, the parents, the teachers in to see what we do, you could see that there's a lot of jobs out there that make a really good salary.
Yes.
And they're very highly skilled jobs. This isn't like it used to be an assembly line, you know, where you hit the button and go, and you just kind of move on. You need to have computer skills, mathematical skills, reading, blueprint reading. There's a lot to it. So I have a good time going into the schools and working with the students. It's been educational for me. So I'm hoping that next year we actually have a really good turnout of interns to go into the different partners that have gotten along with all the high schools, and we can help them out.
Yeah, I think it's exciting. And I think it's lovely that you spend your time doing that. You know, so often, so many people, they don't do the give back part. So,
Right.
you know, you're paying it forward, and it's fantastic.
We have to.
Yeah.
We're not going to survive as an industry if we don't give back and we don't start to promote ourselves as, I call it something sexy. You know, something sexy always sells, right? Manufacturing, you think of as being maybe a bit grimy and, you know, like I said, how we were 25, 30 years ago. And that's not us anymore.
Yeah.
You know, that's not what we look like, and that's not what most people look like these days. So it's important we get it out there.
Now, when a company has a bid, when it goes out for request for proposal, and you know it needs to be bid out, is that something you personally still manage and take control over? Do you kind of help spec things for people still?
I do.
Okay.
I do that. I do have help with new estimates that come through the door. I'm not really the technical expertise person. We do have a computer program that we work with, but I work with the gentleman on my floor very closely as to can we make the parts, cycle times, speeds and feeds, all that kind of stuff. And we work as a team. that's really, you know, what we each bring to the table.
And there's a lot of
and we make
experience
it
on your
work.
team. There
Yes,
have been
there
people
is.
that have been there their entire career.
Correct.
So I can, you know, I applaud you on that because that's tremendous to have that environment where people make their livelihood there.
Yeah, it's important to me. It's a very it's a stress factor of making sure that, you know, we grow and we have something available to keep bringing people in and keeping the people that we have employed. That's what I love. It's the challenge, and they're there. God bless them every day, and they're committed to the cause. They love making their product. They, you know, it's a real interesting job.
Well, I had a really great time when I went to go see you. And what I also find fascinating is that like every piece is different. So if somebody, you know, can create something and it comes from a cylinder base, you can practically make anything.
We could make anything that's round.
Or
pretty
starts
much.
out as
yeah,
round.
it
and then
starts out
becomes
as
right
round,
as
and then the machine makes it into something else. Yeah. I mean, obviously, this was round, and now
right,
it's
and now it's not.
and now it's
That's
not.
Okay.
So yeah,
that
it's
almost looks
kind
like
of
an
a
old-time flash cube, you know. Like it's fun sometimes for me, like not really knowing what it goes into, to be like to kind of say, well, maybe it goes like this.
Oh, we have
but, like,
special names for certain parts.
Yes, yes. Okay,
we
I would call this
yeah.
one the flash cube. I mean, just me. I'm just, you know, the
I
old
actually,
Kodak flash
I
cube.
think
You
that's
know?
exactly what it looks like.
Well, we thank you for being here. How can people, you know, contact you so that if they have, you know, if they're in manufacturing and they need a part and they need your part to get into their part, whether it's aerospace, medical, you know, maybe even a different type of sector, how could they reach out to you to get help?
Our website.
Okay.
We're on Facebook.
Okay.
They can. I'm on LinkedIn. You can always get in touch with me.
Great. Or maybe
And,
earrings. I don't know, but like.
So we did make jewelry years ago. My father was in a play, and we actually made jewelry for him.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, I'd
go
love to see
figure.
pictures of that sometime. You'll have to send them. But
So yeah,
Kris,
we can
thank
pretty
you.
much make anything.
Great. Thank you very much for
Thank
joining us.
you.
There
Thank
you go. You heard it right here from Kris Derrig. Action Machined Products. Thanks for watching. Live it up. Stay tuned for more.